Sometimes the smallest events carry the deepest meanings. What if even the tiniest creatures crossing your path are part of a divine message waiting to be heard? When you notice ants entering your home, do you see it as nothing more than a small event in nature? Most of us, when we see ants inside, either rush to destroy them or assume it is only an ordinary occurrence. Yet, through the eyes of Ibn Arabi, the matter goes much deeper. He taught that in the world of existence, nothing happens by chance. Every movement, every living thing, every seen and unseen moment is an expression of divine will. Even the tiniest ants that cross into your space may be carrying a message you have not yet understood. So the real question becomes, what might that message be? Ibn Arabi believed the presence of ants is not only a biological or ecological event, but also a doorway into metaphysical meaning. He once said, "Everything speaks in the language of its creator." Ants, too, are part of this language. Their arrival in your home is not only the behavior of creatures searching for food, it could be a spiritual signal tied to the flow of your own life. Whether you realize it or not, creation is always speaking to you. This is why pausing when you see ants matters. Ask yourself, what are they telling me? Could there be more hidden beneath the surface? In Ibn Arabi's vision, nothing is simply what it seems. Behind every outward form lies a greater truth. Within Sufi thought, ants symbolize effort, community, and sustenance. Their appearance in your home could mark the beginning of abundance and blessing. They may also come to remind you of patience, of sharing, or of order. Sufism teaches us not to stop at what is visible, but to look for the unseen. Ants could be a silent dialogue God is having with you. This is no accident. It is a sign worth reflecting upon. And then you may wonder if there truly is a message. What exactly is it saying? What truth is God showing me through these ants? That is the question we will explore more deeply as the journey continues. Because if you follow through, you will see that the ants' unseen role carries meaning far beyond what you first thought. Their presence cannot be explained only as tiny creatures following an instinct to find food. Ibn Arabi reminded us that everything has meaning and every event exists with wisdom. His call is always to look beyond what is visible. For him, every movement in creation is part of a divine script. And not even the smallest detail is without purpose. Ants entering your home are also a part of that script. Their arrival can serve as a reminder, a gentle push to reflect on certain matters in your life. Sufi teachings often stress a simple truth. What looks small on the surface may point to something vast in the unseen. From this perspective, noticing ants could be the first step in learning to read the hidden signs woven into your own journey. Symbolically, ants represent qualities like effort, patience, and discipline. In Ibn Arabi's vision, these are not just traits, they are reflections of the order God built into creation itself. Ants live in community, each one carrying out its role with harmony and purpose. To see them in your space may be a sign that your own life needs more structure, more persistence, or a renewed sense of responsibility. Through their presence, God might be inviting you to work harder, bring order back into your days, or review the tasks you've been neglecting. At the same time, ants are also linked to sustenance and blessing. They are creatures who prepare and store, always mindful of what lies ahead. Ibn Arabi taught that sustenance is not only material but also spiritual. In that sense, their presence could be a sign that doors of abundance are beginning to open for you, blessings that go beyond possessions, touching the deeper layers of your soul. When ants appear in your home, it may be more than a coincidence. It could be God's way of showing that a new chapter is unfolding for you, a season of patience, preparation, and silent growth, one that, when complete, will carry you to something far greater. Every being, in Ibn Arabi's way of seeing, reflects one of God's names. Ants, too, are part of this reflection. When you look at them, you are not just watching tiny creatures move about. You are seeing the reminder of God's names. Al-Mudabbir, the one who arranges all things, and Ar-Razak, the provider of sustenance. Through them, God may be showing you a glimpse of his attributes, calling you to notice and remember. Perhaps these ants are not random at all, but a quiet signal urging you to turn inward and reflect on the flow of your own life. And so a natural question arises: what does this sign mean for me personally? How should I read this message in the light of my own situation? The answer is not found only in their presence, but in how their presence connects with the moment you are living right now. Ibn Arabi taught that the world of existence rests on a reality far beyond outward causes. Nothing can be explained by appearances alone, because behind each moment lies God's wisdom shaping a plan. Even ants entering your home must be understood this way, not as a small natural event, but as a reminder, a warning, or even glad tidings. Sufi thought holds that God's signs come through countless ways, sometimes through a person's words, sometimes through an event, and sometimes through the smallest of creatures. That is why Ibn Arabi would say, everything is a message from God. It is an invitation to listen. The ants may be pointing to the balance in your life, asking whether it needs to be restored. They are always in motion, working with patience and discipline, living with awareness of the whole. In Ibn Arabi's teachings, this is a lesson for us to remember the purpose of our own existence. Their arrival could be telling you to put your affairs in order, to bring back the harmony you have lost, to gather the scattered pieces of your days. The presence of ants might be telling you that it is time to move forward again. In Sufi thought, ants also carry the meaning of trust in God. They work tirelessly, yet they leave the outcome to Allah. While they gather and prepare, they know that sustenance comes only from Him. Here Ibn Arabi's teaching on trust becomes clear. True trust is not abandoning effort, but seeing God behind every cause. The life of ants is almost a living example of this. They plan, they labor, but they do so knowing that their strength does not shape destiny. For you, this can be a reminder. Yes, you must try, but you must also surrender the result to Allah. In another sense, ants embody patience and preparation. Ibn Arabi described patience not as passive waiting, but as conscious acceptance of God's timing. When ants store food in summer for winter, they show this same conscious surrender, preparing before hardship comes. Their appearance in your home could mean that you too are being called to prepare. Perhaps a major change is approaching in your life, and through the ants, God is inviting you to get ready. All of this reveals that ants are not insignificant creatures at all, but reflections of the vast order God has created. In Ibn Arabi's vision, everything reflects the divine names. The small world of ants points you toward Al-Mumin, the one who watches over all things, Al-Hakim, the wise, and Ar-Razak, the provider. To see them is to be reminded that your life too is part of this great design. Realizing this can awaken a deeper awareness in your spiritual journey. From this angle, ants entering your space is not a random natural event. It is a personal message from God to you. And as we continue, we will explore what that message may mean for your own path and the lessons it carries for your soul. Ants entering your home can also be counted among the signs. Through their small existence, they point toward greater truths. In Sufi understanding, everything around us is a word spoken by God. Each thing we see is like an ayah, a verse, a reminder. Ibn Arabi saw the presence of ants as an invitation, calling you to look again at your life, your actions, and your intentions. Their movement, their order, and their clear purpose reflect the very qualities Ibn Arabi spoke of in the spiritual path of a human being. Outwardly, they look like tiny creatures carrying crumbs of food, but inwardly they reveal how persistence, effort, and communal awareness are part of the divine pattern. For Sufis, work is not just a worldly necessity, it is a reflection of God's attributes. The constant motion of ants mirrors Al-Mudabbir, the one who arranges the universe with wisdom. As they live out their purpose, they remind us of ours, to live a life pleasing to God. Ibn Arabi often stressed the need not to stop at appearances, but to seek the hidden wisdom. Ants entering your home may not only be explained by their search for food or a change in weather. It could just as well be connected to your own inner state, the spiritual climate of your household. Sufism teaches that the inner and outer worlds reflect each other. So the ants you notice around you might be signaling a stirring within your soul or pointing to something missing. Perhaps they arrive as God's way of whispering, review your life, bring back order, realign yourself. Ibn Arabi described the human being as a microcosm, a small universe within the larger one. The body and soul reflect the cosmos itself. In this sense, the ants that appear in your home become symbols of your own inner journey. Their quiet, patient, and disciplined ways show you how to stand in your path with patience, with trust, and with constant readiness. In one sense, ants teach acceptance of destiny, and in another, they show the importance of effort, will, and preparation. In Sufi understanding, every event reflects one of God's names. So even the ants that appear in your home are not outside this truth. Through them, Al-Hakim reminds you of wisdom. Our Razak shows how sustenance is shared even in the smallest of creatures, and Al-Basir uncovers what your eyes may not notice. With this awareness, the message of ants becomes deeper. They may be carrying a divine invitation, urging you to give direction to your life. This is why Arabi always emphasized that nothing in existence happens by accident. The presence of ants is not a meaningless detail. It is a language through which God speaks, a reminder meant for you to recognize. Once you realize this, you see that even these tiny creatures are calling you toward a greater truth. Ibn Arabi taught that reality shows itself even in the smallest details we usually overlook. God is speaking to his servants at every moment and through everything. So when ants come into your home, they are not merely biological beings. They are messengers of a hidden sign touching your life. At the heart of Sufism is the belief that all things come from him. That is why even the smallest beings in your house can be received as verses, signs pointing you back to God. Their disciplined movement, their division of labor, their tireless effort, all of it is a reminder of truths we often forget. For Ibn Arabi, the inner world and the outer world are always linked. Whatever you see outside is also a reflection of what stirs within you. So, the ants you find in your home are not just random. They are a sign shaped especially for you. Perhaps they are there to remind you to look again at parts of your life you may have ignored. Ants may be telling you that there are areas in your life that need to be reconsidered, that your inner order has been disturbed, or that you are being prepared for a new stage. They speak not with words, but with their very presence, like a silent warning. In Sufi thought, such moments are seen as reminders from God. Their arrival is a call to awareness. Arabi would urge a person to reflect again on the purpose of their creation. We are not here only to survive in this world, but to draw nearer to God and to recognize our own truth. The presence of ants points us back to this purpose. They are small, yet they never drift away from their role. In the same way, we are meant to live without losing sight of our own purpose, keeping God's pleasure at the center. Their tireless labor teaches us that trust in God must be joined with effort. For in Sufi teaching, tawakkul is not passive waiting. It is active striving, patient work carried out with faith. Watching ants, you see that they move as a community, each one fulfilling its duty. This reflects Ibn Arabi's teaching on unity. Every ant is an individual, yet each belongs to a greater whole. So too with us. While we walk our individual journeys, we are still part of the divine order that God has set. The harmony of ants reminds us of surrender to that order, of unity, and of mutual support. Their rhythm is a small mirror of the balance written into the universe. And as Ibn Arabi often repeated, no event and no encounter is without cause. Ants entering your home carry a meaning for you. It could be pointing to the release of a blockage in your life, the start of a new process, or the need for a spiritual awakening. God speaks to his servants not only through books and words, but through the whole of existence. The presence of ants is part of that conversation, silent but deep. To notice them is to notice the divine message prepared for you. Ibn Arabi reminded us that God addresses his servants not only through the verses of the Quran, but through every moment of life itself. God speaks through everything, every event, every being. And the ants that appear in your home are silent messengers of